Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Larson, and welcome to PawnBroker 2020. We have been talking to you in the past weeks from what we call the Bunker Series, but we're kind of on our journey out of that. And, we don't know where that's going to end up, but we know that it's going to be different from what it was. So we have looked and scoured high and low, and we found Yigal. And Yigal runs the Pawn Leaders podcast and has been very, very active in the pawn community and someone that I know, and I appreciate what he thinks. So we reached out to Yigal and begged him to talk to us, and he took time out of his busy schedule and decided to be here with us today. So Yigal, thank you very much, and do a shameless plug for for Pawn Leaders and what you do. Go ahead.
So first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's an honor. I've had Len on my show. And so being on your guys' show is very, very cool. It's not often I get interviewed from this side in the pawn industry. So I have a podcast. It's called the Pawn Leaders Podcast, where I interview successful pawnbrokers doing incredible things, vendors such as yourselves, and then outside vendors who are helping the industry with marketing strategy and leadership to help you become a better you and to help your store become a better you. Because my mission is to transform the pawn industry by transforming the people and the businesses in it.
Yeah, and that's something that I noticed about you. You kind of differentiate yourself in that way, and you're working on making us better leaders and better pawnbrokers from the inside out. And, when you're cleaning your head, you can make better decisions on the outside. So, tell me what you're seeing. You talk to a lot of people. You're having a lot of podcasts. You're having a lot of communication with the group out there. And, we feel like we're finally beginning to dig out of this, as they called it, the new normal, and things are beginning to change. And at some point they'll settle down and kind of become what they are. We don't really know what to expect. So tell me, what is it your group is telling you? What are you expecting when this thing begins to clear?
The expectation question is a great one. I think that for me, with my groups and the podcast and all those types of things, making an assumption is very, very hard. Obviously, they're talking about how government assistance is going to run out. People are going to start coming back in. We're going to have more loans, more buys, all those types of things. And at the same time, I'm in the feeling that a business has to be different now, right? People are afraid. The consumer's afraid to walk in. So the pawn shop is going to have to do business differently by going online more technology. And so I think that we're looking at something positive, but if the pawnbroker doesn't take action, that positive sway won't be as big as they think.
Right. And, for me, we had a couple conversations with some clients over the last few days. And, for somebody who's been a pawnbroker in this business for, 20 plus years, the pawn business is a very cyclical business. And you can pretty much, within a matter of a month or two, you can pretty much call what your business is going to do and what's going to happen. And this is unlike anything we've seen, because we had the income tax that hit, and then we had the stimulus checks that hit. And, pawnbrokers, we're selling everything like crazy, just like a normal tax season. And we're expecting the business to be like it normally is. And I don't think that's the case this time. We've got over 3 million people have filed for unemployment. The job outlook, we don't know quite what that's going to be, at least in the next 12 to 18 months. And that's going to affect us significantly when those people come back and they're getting loans. Will they want to come back? I have no doubt. Will they be able to? I don't know. In which case, those loans then become items that we own, and it's going to change the way we look at both online retailing, I think, and the e-commerce platform, and also the way we manage our money in our business. How do you think?
So I feel that if we're going to depend on the client we might be in trouble. And I think that the most important thing that a pawnbroker needs to do moving forward is lead generation. And I'll give you a quick example. I went to a pawn shop out in Dallas, and I walked over to a little market. It was a little Latin American market. And I just asked the lady in Spanish, because I speak fluent Spanish. I said, "Excuse me, where's the nearest pawn shop?" And she turned over to his side and she's like, "No." She's like, "That way, 3 miles." And his pawn shop was, no joke, like 3 blocks away. So the pawnbroker needs to realize that a lot of the community doesn't know who they are. A lot of the community hasn't used their services, and it's time to start reaching outward and not just depend on the fact that you open the doors and people walk in. And when you lead generate,
Sure.
when you market that way, that now you're going to hit some people who have lost their job, who need money, who are thinking like, "Hey, I've never pawned before. Let me go check this out." They're going to be bring you different product, and you'll be getting a different clientele, and then you'll be able to expand the market as opposed to just depending on that normal market that always came to see.
Yes, we had Mitch Brenton in a while back and talked to him about what he was seeing in the business and how, what he did changes us. And you're absolutely right. And the marketing piece, they Google us. When you go to a different town that you don't know, you Google, restaurants near me, or I ask Siri. Siri's very wise. She helps me with everything. But, you ask that, and then you kind of do what she tells you to do. You go where she recommends, you look at the ratings, and you go, and I see this Google rating thing getting larger and larger and becoming more and more relevant when it wasn't 5 years ago. It was a blip on the radar. 10 years ago, everybody had to have a website, and now, social media is the most important thing. So you're right, reinventing ourselves. What a better time for us as brokers and business people to really look at our business. Many of you are closed, and if you recall and watch the series, I recommended that you take this time to take stock of what's going on in your business. You've always wanted to get inventory done, do it. You've always wanted to get rid of those aged items, do it. Take this time to clean and paint and do the things that you wanted to do that you really never had the option. And now you come out of this thing and you've got this bright, shiny new business. And like Yigal said, the business you had, the people that were coming before, it's going to be different now. And what a wonderful opportunity for us to change the perception of both us and our business.
I love that, Dave. I call it the big pawn reset, right? Like a big button was hit, not just in all businesses, but especially in the pawn industry. And what people need to understand is that it's just like going on a first date. And the online marketing, and you talked about Google reviews and all those types of things. If you walk up into a first date and, the person is dressed up, hair's all messed up, you got spinach in their teeth, raggedy shirt, you're like, I don't know if I want to continue the conversation. And that's the same thing with your social media, your website. And, I talk about three things: leadership, marketing, and strategy. That's my big thing. Leadership, you have to be a better leader, better culture. Marketing, social media, in-store marketing. Strategy, everything from metrics to even being a great coach. That's strategic and growing the business. Okay. But most importantly, the way you look is crucial. People don't want to walk into a dingy store, old store, dirty stuff on the shelves. People, when they go to Google and they see your website, they want to see something nice, pretty, easy to understand, nice pictures. They don't want to go into a website that's 10 years old, right? And if they do, they're going to think, let me go to the person across the street. So it's time that we clean up a little bit as the pawn industry and as the pawn shop. And this is the perfect time to do it. There's time. Less people are going to be walking in, right? Or you might have 3 people at the same time. Some people might be closed. And whatever that is, take this time to really hit that reset button and think, what do I need to look at in my business? Strategies, marketing, bottom line, expenses. Take this opportunity to really reset and see, and then create a vision to move forward.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before we started to film this afternoon, and one of the things I told Yigal and shared with him is that I'm a very, what I call an on-purpose person. I believe in planning my day, and I go out and I conduct my day on purpose. When I was a regional and ran multiple stores, I went to a store and I had a purpose for the visit, and I was a very on-purpose manager. And I think that the industry now, as Yigal says, it's the perfect time. The reset button has been hit, and make yourself better and do it on purpose. Make your store nicer and do it on purpose. Get together a plan and market yourself and do it on purpose. Make your business what you want it to be. I'm a big proponent, and I always say, we want to help you achieve the dream. The PawnBrokers dream, I've been around a long time in this business. I want to be on a boat sipping pina coladas with my feet up, getting the sun. That's the dream. And I don't think I'm that far off from everybody else. Yeah. I believe that the dream for me is to have a business that runs itself well without me having to be there every single second. And technology is allowing us avenues that we never had before in the pawn business, and giving us options that we never had, and allowing us to live the dream we always wanted and never dared to live. So, there are different things happening now, and Yigal, any parting thoughts before we close for the day?
Well, so this might be a little bit longer than parting. My apologies. I want to mention two things that you said that are very, very important. You said build a business that you want, right? And that's so important. And I would take it a step further. I would also say build a business that your team would want and build a business that your customers want to walk into, right? If people say, I can't find good people. Well, do they want to walk into somebody who has a 10-year-old website or a store that's dirty or a culture that isn't great, right? And then you spoke about, sipping pina coladas with your feet up, in some Caribbean island, or maybe that's where I was just envisioning myself at the moment. And there's a big difference between a pawnbroker and an entrepreneur. And a pawnbroker works the line day in and day out. And they might, my grandfather worked the line day in and day out, 30 years, didn't spend a penny, never ate out, never went anywhere, always complained, and just had that old mentality and the mindset. And an entrepreneur thinks forward and thinks, how do I run this business with systems, with technology, so that I don't always have to be here, so that I can take care of myself, be present with my family, and my parting words, leave a legacy for those that I love.
And that is fantastic. And Yigal, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. I know I asked you back in Texas, and it took us a while for you and I to get our calendars straight here, but I do appreciate you taking the time with us. And, for you guys out there, I thank you very much for joining us today. Make sure you text a broker to 29288. Make sure you like us on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And keep those comments coming and keep your ideas coming. We want you to be better. And as we take this journey back to whatever it's going to end up being, we're all going to get there together. So thank you very much, and we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time. We'll be back soon.